So welcome everyone to our information session on our Health Communication Toolkit case competition. This competition is brought to you by the Center for Academic and Professional Success, Dr. Sikaran Patel College of Osteopathic Medicine, and the Helmuth College of Arts and Sciences. True collaboration between us three and providing a real unique and amazing experience for you as students to immerse yourself within the public health and pre-health setting, and challenge you to use your research skills, critical thinking skills, and understanding trends in certain public health areas to apply them in a real life solution, a real life case. So today we're going to be going over a lot of different things. We are going to be discussing the case itself. We're going to talk about how to sign up for the case. Then we're going to talk about how you can get enrolled in a Canvas course afterwards, which is where we're housing the case competition this year. And then we're going to go into what that Canvas course looks like. And then finally, providing you details on how you can earn Excel units for this. So if you're not aware, there's obviously prizes tied to the case competition. This is a great resume builder, but just by competing in the competition, you can earn 1 unit of experiential learning credit. So we're going to be covering all those things and answering all of your questions. And again, today's session is recorded. So if you need to leave early or you need to review it today, we'll be providing that as well. So let us go into the case itself. So this competition is focused on a health communication toolkit. So this is something that the USDA and other organizations use to inform the public on a certain illness or provide them details on a certain trend that's going on. So for the purpose of this case, you are a member of the USDA. So the USDA has issued multiple teams to create a health communication toolkit to educate the South Florida community on common foodborne illnesses, as well as the antibiotic resistance associated with it. So you and the team are going to be working on that. We're going to go into what that entails. So the goal of this toolkit is to provide the public helpful suggestions and resources to guide them in best practices within the South Florida community before, during, and after an outbreak. As part of your communication toolkit, you're expected to also assess and address the challenges in food safety as it relates to the antibiotic resistance of that foodborne illness. So what's going on? You are either 1 or 4 members of this team. So you could do the competition by yourself or with 3 other members, including yourself on the team. And so within that, you're going to be developing that toolkit to educate, prepare, and assess the implication associated with that foodborne illness. So step 1. You're going to develop the team, whether it's by yourself or a group of members. And then to sign your team up officially, you're going to email casecompetitions@nova.edu and provide the names of all the team members, first and last name, and their email addresses. Because what we're going to do there is we're going to respond to your email and we're going to enroll you in a Canvas course, which houses all of the assignments, the case descriptions, the discussion boards, the rubrics, everything you need to be successful this semester doing the case, with deadlines and everything you need to support you. So that's step 1. Step 2 is you're going to look through the foodborne illnesses listed by the CDC and select one for your team. So for example, you might select salmonella, and that's going to be the focus of your toolkit. So you have to go by the list that we provided by the CDC, but you have flexibility as to what you choose so that you're not choosing one that is the same as another team. But many teams could have the same foodborne illness, but we wanted to give you as many options as possible. So step 3 is developing your toolkit itself. And what we did is we provided a full breakdown of every aspect of this toolkit. So there's an introduction and abstract, which is about 2 pages. Now, these are the suggested or minimum requirements. If you go past those, you do 3 pages, that's okay. Like, obviously, if it's saying 2, don't write 15. But we want to make sure that we're letting you know that the pages there are just the minimum requirements. So in your introduction and abstract, you're going to introduce the foodborne illness, the science behind that illness, how it affects the human body. What's the purpose of this toolkit, which we just talked about? What's your target population for this toolkit? Who are collaborators that you're going to involve to make sure that this toolkit's successful? And then going into the overview of strategies, the action plan, the marketing plan that you're going to use to educate the public on this foodborne illness. Something that you're going to dive deeper as we keep going into the components of the toolkit. Now, the next part is the actual components of the toolkit, which is about 3 pages. This is going to include the action plan for preventative measures, creating a social media / marketing plan, and then developing a public awareness campaign and graphics to support your action plan. So you might want to develop poster boards, digital graphics, YouTube video. Now you don't need to print the actual poster board, but these are like digital or visual guides that you would use in the toolkit. As we know in today's society, texts don't usually hit home. You have to have visuals associated with that. And you could use Canva, you could use other resources to develop these visuals for your target population. The next aspect is the antibiotic resistance of the foodborne illness. This is about 1 page, and this is to show that you've done your homework on the research behind your foodborne illness as it relates to antibiotic resistance. So you're going to provide an overview of the research. You're going to explain how your healthcare toolkit is going to prevent or control the spread of that antibiotic resistance. And that can include policy making, best practices by healthcare professionals, research and development, agricultural sector trends, really everything and anything that you feel would be pertinent to what's going on. And you don't have to just follow our suggested list. You can provide other suggestions that you thought of. It's always great to be able to think outside the box, and you don't have to just go with our prompts, but it has to be a minimum of 1 page. Then finally, the last part is 1 to 2 pages for additional consideration. That includes current treatment plans, how you're going to evaluate and measure that your toolkit was successfully implemented or was effective. And then additional resources and community engagement avenues that would ensure that this toolkit is going to be a success down the road. And so it's an action plan for down the road of these things. So once you develop your toolkit, you're going to submit it. And I'm just going to scroll to the bottom so you can see the deadline. Your toolkit is not due until November 12th. So right now you have 2 months and 2 days to work on this toolkit. So that's plenty of time to be able to get that off the ground. Then, once your toolkit is submitted, you and your team will have a chance to sell your toolkit, like walk us through it, like be able to explain the different components, be able to explain the impact, be able to explain the strategy, the research behind it, really everything that if you were presenting this to the USDA leadership, would they understand the value of it and be able to assess how strong of a solution you've provided. So in that video, and the video can be filmed by the entire team, or you can have one team member be the spokesperson, which would be the person talking. But you have all the options. It doesn't have to be one way. It could be however your team feels fit, but you definitely have to submit a video. And in that video, you're going to describe, as I mentioned, each aspect and component of your toolkit. You're going to explain the process and reasoning behind your choices, and be able to give them all the details on why this is the best toolkit to combat that foodborne illness and the antibiotic resistance associated with it. So you'll submit all of that by November 12th. And then we are going to host a Zoom meeting on Friday, December 11th, where we're going to announce our winners. So we have faculty from both HALMOS and our public health faculty and nutrition faculty a part of this. They're going to evaluate the submissions, and then we're going to announce our, our top team on December 11th. However, whether you win or not, every student that submits a toolkit and submits a video will earn a one unit of experiential learning credit. So great resume builder. If you're thinking of going to medical school, or any professional school down the road, or you're just going to jump into the public health field, you're going to jump into research opportunities upon graduation, these are huge selling points. Even though you're not reporting to a site, this experience in its own is a research opportunity and is an internship. You're really working on something that's real. You're using your skills needed, and you're developing a toolkit that can be added to your portfolio. So all exciting things. Now, on the case description, we've also provided some additional links and resources that we feel could be valuable for you. We've given examples of past toolkits, including one dealing with diabetes. Now, obviously, yours is dealing with foodborne illnesses, but you're going to see how other toolkits were built, and it might give you ideas on how to approach it on your own. So this is, in a nutshell, the case competition for the semester. We do have for our first place team, they will earn $300. They will be able to $300 worth of gift cards that can be split amongst the team, and every team will receive an Excel certificate that we'll be emailing out to everyone on the day of the announcement of the winner. So we're going to be jumping to part 2 in a second, which is the Canvas course, and then part 3, the Excel units. But before we kept going, I wanted to open it up to see if anyone had any questions.
I have one question.
Yeah, please, Caleb.
For the additional considerations, you mentioned the evaluation of the effectiveness of the toolkit. Does that mean like how would you evaluate the effectiveness?
Yeah, like basically, now you can't evaluate it yourself because it hasn't been implemented yet.
Yeah.
But be able to explain like, hey, within 3 years, here's how we're going to know if this was successful. And here are measurables we're going to put in place to ensure it was successful. Like being able to let us know, like if this was a real health toolkit and you implemented it, how would you go back to USDA leadership and show that it was effective in the target population and combating this foodborne illness?
I see.
So being able to explain the strategies behind it. Any other questions, guys? All right. So I'm going to stop sharing my screens for 1 second. I'm going to turn it over to Olivia, who is going to walk us through our Canvas course and then go into a little bit on the experiential learning components of it.
Perfect. Thanks, Emilio. So hello, everyone. As Emilio introduced, my name is Olivia. I'm a career advisor on the CAPS team, and I help manage this program. And I get a lot of joy through seeing all of your guys' submissions and things like that. So I want to introduce you to our Canvas page and really walk you through how it works, what it entails, and all of that information. So by any chance, though, if you guys have questions and you're maybe too shy to like unmic yourself or unmute yourself, then you go ahead and add it into the chat. I do check the chat and I will respond to your questions in there. So without further ado, we'll dive into the Canvas course. So as you guys are aware, to sign up for the competition, you first have to email casecompetitions@nova.edu, involving the emails of your teammates and members, whatnot. So once you do send that email, we will assign you to the Canvas course for your particular competition. So when you log on, it's going to look a lot like this. You'll be able to see it under your main courses on your main dashboard, and it will appear as Case Competition Program. So you'll see that there is the main homepage explaining to you what is a competition entails, why participate in it, and also like letting you know what you get for participating, and then they'll include an icon for getting started. Like many other Canvas courses, you're going to see recent announcements will be populated here. So I encourage you to check for your announcements from us. They'll primarily come from me as I manage the Canvas course, but it'll be updates, important things you should remember. So as we mentioned before, we're filming this session right now. So when we do have a recording for it, I will be making an announcement that that is available. I'll let you guys know important updates for the competition as you need it. I address questions in there as well, as I allow you guys to comment questions based off of my announcements and things of that nature. So that's the home page. What we want to look at too is immediately go into the discussion board too. So I wanted to bring up the discussion board next because I recognize this is a lot of information. You guys might have questions that might not arise until after you leave this meeting. We have a discussion board called questions, comments, and concerns. Post them here. So it's for all of our competitions this fall semester. So you can go online here and post your question for your competition. Make sure that you put that it's a health communication toolkit. And sometimes what I do is, even if I get a good email for a question, I'll post it in the discussion board for like additional information or questions. So I got a really good question for this particular competition, and I was able to address it in this post, and you can post other of your questions and I will respond to them. And so will the rest of the case competition team. So even if you don't think of a question until after you leave today's session, feel free to use this. Again, email casecompetitions@nova or myself, Emilio, and Alicia directly. But there's a lot of resources on here. So that's the discussion page. Probably the most important section though on our case competitions Canvas site is our modules. So on your modules, you'll see a bunch of information relating to not just your competition, but also how to earn Excel units. So we'll talk about the Excel units in a little bit, but there is a whole module walking through how that process is. We'll talk about that in a moment, but I want to first start off with the Getting Started Health Communication Toolkit case competition. So when you're enrolled in your course, this is what you'll immediately see. There have the case description here that has like a lot of the information that Emilio shared with you today and then some, giving you steps and whatnot. And the assignment is just so that you read through it and then submit a comment that you read it with your initials, and that's the assignment. It's very quick. We just want to make sure that you guys understand the case description and whatnot. So that is the description component of the competition module page. But then also I wanted to include for you guys a case competition timeline. So in this timeline, I have the link for the virtual information session that you're attending right now. Once we have the recording, I will update this page to include the YouTube link for our YouTube video for it. So then you have access to it throughout the competition to look at later. I also have a direct link for the assignment to submit your health communication toolkit and video proposal, as well as the deadline to have that done by. And regarding the winner announcement, I also have that date here too. You're going to see that there's the present your toolkit to the judges TBD. Everyone's presenting via that video, so that's something that I just noticed I have to remove, so don't worry about that. But that is the case competition timeline bit, so to keep you on top of task. Oops, I clicked on the wrong thing. I left student view. My apologies. Clicked on the wrong thing. Okay, student view. Well, while I'm having technical difficulties, I want to open up questions for me about what we've seen so far on the case competition Canvas page. None? Okay, so I have a little bit more to show you. Maybe I'll have some more questions then. So I'm going back to the student view. I'm sorry about that, guys. I had sticky fingers. I clicked on something that I didn't need to click on before. But we'll go back to modules. And we'll go back to the Health Communication Toolkit. So we mentioned the resources before. I created a page for case competition resources as well, with including all those links. There's a lot of great information. I also gave you an additional link for antibiotic, or more information for antibiotic resistance background information in this, as well as including links to the CDC website. Our wonderful pre-auth committee for our case competition, including Dr. Messer, Dr. Garcia, Dr. Schmidt, came up with a wonderful list of resources for you guys. I highly encourage you to look at these to give you ideas for what to include in your toolkit. It's going to be helpful to see examples. I know you guys love your examples, so definitely make use of this page. And actually, if you find any resources on your own you'd love to share with the group, feel free to add that to the discussion board too. It's a community. I want you guys to engage with each other in that way. So that is the resources component. And the last, of course, is the submission for your deadline for the actually submitting your health communication toolkit in video. So that's the module pieces, at least for the competition component. I wanted to throw it out there too that Emilio and I and Alicia will be hosting what's called case competition drop-ins starting September 25th, which is a Friday. So every Friday from then on, from 12 until 1, where we'll be online on Zoom, where you can come in and chat with us about the competition. We'll keep in mind that we want to, since it is a competition, we won't share your ideas with other members. So definitely look into that and attending those. We have all those events on Handshake, and I do have it posted as an announcement on our Canvas page too, so you can have access to that. Feel free to just contact me directly too if you have questions for those drop-ins, but there's just a lot of resources for you on here. So that's the module side of at least the health communication toolkit competition that I wanted to mention. But we're going to dive into the Excel part next. But any questions for me on the Canvas course?
Yes, ma'am. I have a question. So the links you posted on the resources are not working. All the links giving us error like 404.
Really, for the Canvas course?
Link. Yeah. In case competition resources, if you open this and the examples you provided us, the tool, yeah, these examples are not working.
It's working on my end, which
No,
is
the other one. If you go back, let me show you. Health communication, go down. The kit. If you open this link, yeah, on my end, it's not working.
Okay, so I will go through. Thank you for letting me know that. I'm going to go through and see if I can find, fix those links and understand why they're not working. I appreciate you letting me know that. Thank you. So I'll fix that today. Then I'll release an announcement that that is fixed. I appreciate you pointing that out. Anything that you guys notice wrong with the Canvas course, please let me know. I am the one updating it, so let me know if there's any errors you notice. I really appreciate that. I want to make sure that you guys get all the information that you need. So thank you for that. Any other questions or things you guys want to point out about the module side for the health communication toolkit?
I've got a more general question, which is, I know to originally enroll in the case competition, when you give the original emails of the people who are going to be participating, if that changes, can you update who's in your team and who's not?
Yes, you can. Definitely, by all means, let us know. As soon as, say, if you have a team member, they leave and you have a new friend come on, just let us know. We'll add them to the course so they can be able to see it as well. Just keep us in the loop. And also in that same note, I'm so glad you brought that up, Diana. If you guys are in a team and you're having difficulties, like maybe someone's not communicating well, or there might be like not as much fairness across the board, let us know with that too, because we can coach you guys on how to effectively go about the competition. Sometimes you guys even form teams yourselves, like through just attending events like this. So any way that we can help you navigate that space would be really great. But so yes, you can change your team members around. Just be sure to let us know so we can keep track of that in our system for the, at least mainly for the Excel unit portion of it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
No problem. No, these are all great questions. Any other questions about the competition itself or general questions before I move on to the Excel?
I have a question regarding like uploading any documents or anything. So if we're in a team, is it okay if just one person uploads something, or does every person have to upload it on their end?
That's a great question. So because this is a group related activity, so I believe it'll be fine for having one person to submit it because we have track of who's on whose team. But on your Canvas course, we assigned it to each person individually. So even if you make like a comment on the assignment, like I am a part of so-and-so's team, that will be helpful for us. Since as of course we know there's no grades actually associated with this. It's just our way of keeping track of all your information. So yeah, there's no need to submit something over and over again. Just let us know though, if like this person's a designated person that's submitting, like I'm also submitting for X, Y, and Z's personnel. That answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. These are all great questions, guys. Cool. So we'll dive into the Excel component, but any other questions you guys have, feel free to jump into the chat and we'll chat with us or email us later. I'd be happy to address more of your questions like that. All great questions. So let's talk about the Excel requirement component. As Amelia mentioned, all of you undergraduate students are entitled, who are part of the Excel program, are able to earn 1 unit for competing in this competition, as long as you go about our process, you submit your proposal, you submit your health communication toolkit. Again, you don't need to win the competition in order to earn the unit. Just by participating, you will earn it. So the Canvas modules for that walk you through how to earn that unit. And I do manage this process. So any questions you guys have about like earning Excel units regarding CASE competitions, let me know. I included my personal email on my NSU email on the Canvas page too, so you can reach out to me directly. But I'll walk you through the process. It's very simple. Essentially, just doing the competition is earning the unit. So the first thing I'm going to ask you guys to do and your teammates to do, and each individual person of your team has to submit this, is the CASE competition agreement form, just letting us know that you plan on actually going through with the process, competing till the end, that you're not going to drop out later on. So the deadline for this agreement form is on October 30th. So it's as easy as submitting that assignment. We'll just check it off that you've completed that. So there's the agreement form component. After that, I included a list of, like, for each competition wise. So I'm going to show you the health communication toolkits one, is the general requirements for Excel for that. So what you need to do, of course, is before December 13th, submit all the following documents you see below. So making sure that you submit your toolkit by November 2nd at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. Then you uploading it onto Portfolio by December 13th at 11:59 Eastern p.m. And by the way, there is a menu item for Portfolio on the left-hand side of your screen, so you can even just go straight there into your Canvas course and upload it there. I included instructions for that too, which is on the Canvas course. Fill out and turn in our Excel checklist. So like we said, there is actually no, like person you're having to go and log your hours with, but we do have a checklist to help you kind of stay on par and stay on task with this. We ask you to fill out. It's very simple. It's basically just fill out what we have here. So attending the information session, doing the agreement form, having meetings with Amelia, myself, or Alicia via our CASE competition drop-ins, or via emails with communications with us. Those all count towards this. Meeting as a teammate member. So it's all written in here, but I encourage you guys to read it later on. But if you have questions about it, you'll just let me know. But just submit a copy of that for your team by the end of the competition, or for the Excel deadline, which, remember, is the December 13th deadline, which is different than the just general competition. You do have the option, guys, to just do the competition and not earn the Excel unit. You are allowed to do that. That's fine with us. But if you want to earn the Excel unit, I ask you to follow these processes and these deadlines. The last thing you have to do is submit your final, do a final reflection appointment with a career advisor like myself, where you can talk about your CASE competition experience. Like, what was it like for you? You can provide us feedback. Simply an appointment, all I ask is that you take a screenshot or like a selfie if you're with, like, via Zoom with your career advisor, and submit that as proof that you did that final reflection meeting. Once you do that, all done. You've earned 1 Excel unit for CASE competitions. Very simple, but any questions for me on the Excel component or Excel requirements for CASE competitions?
So I think we got a question. So we don't need to let our Excel advisor know before we start to come. Not necessarily. You don't have to let them know beforehand, but they could be helpful resources for you as you go through it. But at the end, having a final reflection appointment with them is going to be key to getting that unit of credit. So you could already start on the competition and enroll you and your team, start moving forward on the process, and you're really taking care of everything you need to earn those credits at the end.
Yes, exactly. And I also wanted to add too, like, if you wanted to let them know that you're participating, you can. For those of you that had edge advisors, your edge advisor will be the person you meet with at the end instead of your general career advisor or Excel career advisor. So you'll meet with your edge. I see we have another question. So we don't need to let our Excel advisor, oh, I got it. I guess I got, okay, thank you. My bad. So if that answers that question, then we feel good on that. Other questions about the Excel unit requirement?
Guys, I know that on there, it's one of the hours coming to the info session. If you have friends that want to join the competition, that's why we recorded the session. They'll earn that hour by watching the recording. So it's not mandatory to be here today and watch this. So if you have other people that want to sign up, or you have members want to sign up, missing this info session is not a big deal. We're recording it. We're adding it to the YouTube channel, our YouTube channel, and we're also posting it on the discussion board here. So everyone is going to receive the information. Give me 1 second.
Wonderful. So guys, if you have no further questions about the Excel process, or you don't feel comfortable asking them right now in this space, then definitely email us about it. We'd be happy to talk with you further about this process, about the competition. So without further ado, I'll stop sharing my screen so we can continue talking about the competition or finalize our information session today.
The last thing I'll mention, if we don't have any other questions, is, don't be afraid in this competition. This is a new, doing this, if you've never done it before, it could feel very overwhelming, but just know you're working on this on your own time. You're going to get credit for it. And you'd be surprised on what you can develop by putting the effort in there. And don't be worried that you might become, let's say you create a group just with freshmen. Don't worry, because we've had plenty of freshmen win these competitions in the past. It's all about having the best idea, the best details, doing your research, and really giving you a chance to have a resume builder. And I know plenty of students that over the last 6 years have done these competitions, and it's a big selling points for them when they go to medical school interviews, professional school interviews, job interviews, because it's something different. You're putting yourself out there, and that's something that companies and grad schools love to hear. And it's something that you're really working independently towards. So it's easier than reporting to an internship site, because you're working on this on your time. So just make sure you live up to the commitment. And Olivia and I are here. So she mentioned office hours, things like that. There are questions we get asked that we share with the group, but there are times where you meet with us and you might be sharing details of your presentation or your pitch. And that's something that we give you objective advice. Like we tell you, this looks good, but this is something the judges might ask you about, but that's not information we share with anybody else, because we're very considerate that you're working this and the confidentiality of making sure that your team is competing. But we're just like the guiding resources and guides as a whole throughout this process. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, if you haven't done so already, email casecompetitions@nova.edu so we can get you signed up. In addition to that, I think Taylor, Taylor, you raised your hand?
Yeah, I actually do have a question. I was just trying to end. So when we're doing research, when we're doing the case competition, when we need citations, we need a works cited page too, right?
Yes, having a reference page at the end of your proposal, that's going to be necessary, especially that you're doing research and background information. Just like being a true researcher, you got to give credit where it's due. So Taylor, that's a really good point. You definitely do need to have a reference page to your proposal into it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
That's a really good point.
And then is there also a format that we should be following, such as like APA or?
Nope, that's something that we'll put to you. As long as you're sticking to one format, you're not bouncing between two different. We're being very flexible on that end. And so just following the requirements for pages and then the reference pages. But then in terms of how you deliver the information, that's where we leave it to you and a team to kind of figure out the best way of organizing your communication plan. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We're excited to have you a part of the case competition. But again, anything you need or you just have more questions, please feel free to reach out to us, as we're happy to help out. And we're really excited to be a part of this really unique experience that, we always talk about giving students the NSU edge. This is something that you won't see at every university unless it's on a national scale through HOSA. So this is going to be beneficial for you to build up your resume, but definitely separate yourself from the pack when you go into the job force or go to professional school afterwards.